Hi, welcome to This Week in Property. I'm Jayashree Kurup, I'm editor MBTV. I have with me Prabhakar Sinha, he's the real estate editor of the Times of India. And we have with us Mr. Anthony Disa, Chairman MP RERA. Joining us shortly will be Ms. K.S. Lata Kumari, she's Secretary Karnataka RERA. RERA has been palliative to a lot of consumers around the country, and it has brought a lot of hope to the real estate buyers. And today, we're talking about a lot of things that the developers have got from RERA to help them complete the projects. The issue here is, are consumers being serviced as well too? And answering this question and starting the conversation is Mr. Anthony Disa. He is one of the his was one of the first RERAs that got off the ground. It was ready on time. It was an online process from day one and has been extremely effective. Mr. Disa, the consumer today, how do you look after the consumer during the COVID time?
See, Jayashree, what is the consumer's interest? The consumer requires to have his property that he has booked as quickly as possible. And of course, at the price assured and the quality assured. Now, the point is that the COVID pandemic has thrown up a force majeure situation. A force majeure situation is a situation that is beyond the control of anybody. You see, it normally is a situation of war, if the country is at war, or a natural calamity, an earthquake, a flood, or whatever. Now, the fact that the COVID has thrown up a situation which is not something like, I can't get a builder saying ki I can't get sand, or the price of cement has gone up, or steel has gone up. It's far beyond all this. Yeah. To the extent that even the Ministry of Finance has declared it a force majeure situation beyond everyone's control. And so now we have to see, and this has also hit the real estate sector. Now we have to see how we can get things restarted quickly enough in order to be able to give that property to the people who have been assured that there will be some delay in this is certainly, everyone understands that is the meaning of the force majeure situation. It is beyond the control of the builder, beyond everyone. Now, the point to decide, because this is a very strange situation. See, normally, a force majeure situation affects only a localized area. There's an earthquake 2, 3, 4, 5 districts. There's a flood in one particular state, there is a flood. And that also only a part of the state. These are all force majeure, but they are localized force majeure. This force majeure has hit the entire country, and not just hit the country, but hit the workforce. It has hit the supply lines, the manufacturing of the raw material, everything across the board. So it's a very strange kind of force majeure. It's a very difficult kind of force majeure. And everyone also has to realize that a building project is not like a shop. You've kept a shop shut for 2 months. Now you say lockdown is over, open the shop. The shop will open the next day, it will start functioning. Maybe one day for cleaning up and it functions. But a building project in the best of times, non-COVID times, any kind of construction project, if it comes to a halt, there is an inbuilt inertia to get it restarted. It's not something you switch on or switch off very easily. If it's switched off, then to switch it on, it's like a whole boiler. You've got to, reheat the whole thing. So it takes time. We do know that. It takes time for the raw materials to come, for the labor to come. Now, we have assessed this as, insofar as Madhya Pradesh is concerned, and the vast majority of states, we have assessed it as constituting a 6-month delay. Because there's 2 months of actual shutdown, and now still construction has not been permitted in certain containment areas in certain places. Hopefully another 2 weeks that will go away. So let's say 3 months of shutdown and 3-month period to restart. This is what we have felt. Beyond this force majeure, everything else remains the same. Every assurance to the customer remains the same. The whole period of assurance remains the same. They will get the project. They will get their compensation if there are delays. But this 6-month period is a force majeure, which everyone has to bear. But all other protections continue to the customer.
Sir, a project that was already delayed, that was not active at the time of COVID, do they get the benefits too?
See, they would get the benefit of the 6-month extension, provided they apply for the extension. But listen, I would like to clarify to all consumers that an extension of the date of the project is independent of the right of the consumer to get compensation for delay. If you see the Madhya Pradesh order extending giving the 6 month, we have given all the procedures where they will be, who will be granted 6 months, who will not be granted, and how these 6 months will come automatically. It's basically for every project that was supposed to be completed after the 15th of March, either the original date or the extended date. Also, if a promoter applies for an extension, if his application was pending for extension prior to the 15th of March up to the 4th of May, because 4th of May we issue these orders, then whatever period he'd applied for will be examined on its own merits, and 6 months will be added to it. Not after the 4th of May, because after the 4th of May, we all know the situation is in front of us, so it's no longer force majeure. But the last bit, we said, this will not automatically apply to cases of compensation. In cases of compensation, bearing in mind these principles, the adjudicating officer will take a case-to-case decision. Now, what does this mean? This means exactly the question you asked, Jayashree. If everything was at a standstill before the coming into of, before the 15th of March, let's say,
right,
then no builder can claim, that promoter cannot claim that, because of COVID, I am delayed.
Right.
So he will have to give the compensation for even this period, because his project was shut down in any case.
Right.
On the other hand, if his project maybe was shut down and there was a decision by the adjudicating officer or by the RERA then that, okay, you have to give so much compensation, plus you have to complete within, say, 4 months.
Right.
And if he had begun on those 4 months, but the COVID started, so naturally he can't give it in the 4 months.
Right.
So he would give that earlier compensation. But now, because he had complied with at least to start completion, these 6 months benefit he will get, and then that will be added on, and then he will not have to pay for these 6 months. So therefore, I'm saying it's not just across the board. It will be case to case, and it will be fair and just to everyone. If COVID has actually come in to prevent the building by the promoter, then he will get the benefit, and the consumer for that period then cannot demand for those 6 months the compensation. But if COVID was not the issue, if in any case it was shut down, we will not allow COVID to be used as an excuse to deprive the consumer of his just compensation.
So would you like to tell us about the online courts that you have started, the e-courts?
Today was actually, we started it yesterday, but today was the first day we had a lot of hearings. Now, in Madhya Pradesh, we have the court in Bhopal, and we have circuit courts in Jabalpur, Gwalior, and Indore. When I say circuit courts, there's not a separate bench. There is no member seated over there. We ourselves go twice a month to Indore and hear cases, once a month to Gwalior, once a month to Jabalpur. And to Indore, we go twice a month for 2 days each. That's 4 days a month. So that is the circuit court. Now what we've done is we provided e-hearing, by which we've fixed cases at 10 to 15 minutes differences. So everybody doesn't have to come in and wait. We say between 11 and 2, and we give somebody 11, quarter past 11, 11:30, like that. We send them the link, and there is a waiting hall. If some people come in advance, they also can come and they can hear the case going on also. Because in an open courtroom, in any case, we hear cases. We're not doing anything secret. And there are some people who say, when in spite of the link, my mobile phone doesn't work very well. I don't have a desktop at home. So in each of these places, in Jabalpur, in Gwalior, and Indore, in our office also, we have made, in our camp offices, we have made provision for a desktop and a person to be there to help anyone if he wants to come to that camp office and speak over the have an online, or if he wants to do it from his own house or from his own office or the lawyer's chamber, that also is perfectly acceptable. In Bhopal, because we are seated here, we have given the option, you either come in person before us or you hear online. One party also can come, like in today's, we heard 9 cases. In 2 cases, one party each in 2 cases came and said, we are here only, so we prefer to come here. But here, if anyone actually comes and everything is done following the norms of physical distancing, wearing a mask, we have a separate waiting hall, and there's no crowding. But of course, 2 or 3 people only come. The majority of people took the opportunity to communicate over this thing. Online. But I must say, the platform that was given to us was not half as good as the platform you have provided here, or even Zoom. So that did create a lot of issues, and things were not clear. Now, whether we were putting down to the internet connection or the platform, I don't know. But it is a beginning. And we also took a decision that till this stabilizes, we will not dismiss any case ex parte till this stabilizes, because there may be connectivity issues. So this will take for this month. We will not dismiss any case ex parte, particularly a person against whom a decision is being taken. If, for example, based on records itself, we find this is going in favor of a particular person, and if that person has not appeared, so that doesn't matter, because based on records also, cases go in favor of people who don't appear.
Yeah.
So this is a decision we've taken now, but the experience so far, because of the platform maybe that we are using, is not as attractive. But I think this will stabilize quickly, and this may even provide long-term solutions well beyond COVID. You see, we'll be able to at least deal with our circuit courts as e-courts. So it may be a good thing, it's how we all learn from adversity, and people have the ability to. There were 2 or 3 parties who just used their mobile phone, and everything was fine.
So one thing I want to understand, that now this 6-month extension force majeure has been given. Now suppose a project normally is given 1-year extension under force majeure for registration. Now this 6 months will be part of that, or otherwise 6 months will be added to that. Now it will be 1.5 years.
No, see, Prabhakar ji, the extension that we give up to 1 year, and sometimes even a 2nd year, as the Bombay High Court has said, and ultimately a project has to be completed. By merely saying, no, we are not going to give you extension, what happens then? The whole project will close down, and who will complete it? So, ultimately, whenever we grant an extension, what do? We basically say, please show us your plan. Why you have delayed, you can give any kind of reasons, but we're not bothered, because compensation will be due. By extending the date of the project, we are not robbing the consumer of his right to compensation. Yeah. The consumer will get his compensation from the date he was supposed to get possession. That is, he will get. So even if when in the normal circumstances, outside COVID, when we grant a 1-year extension, then we grant it with this condition always. One, that you show us milestones now, so we can keep judging every 3 months whether you've reached these milestones. And second, no let up in the compensation you have to give your people. The clock of compensation will start from the original date. Now, that is not a force majeure situation. See, force majeure means what? It means something beyond your control.
Exactly.
That is not beyond his control. If it was beyond his control, then he wouldn't be paying compensation also. He would have come. That is in his control, his fault. That's not a force majeure. This is a force majeure. The first time we have granted an extension based on force majeure. And this will apply across the board, and it will be added on.
Okay.
The short answer is be added on. Because everything else normal, and this 6 months will be put in.
Okay.
So I'm going to take you back to that e-courts question. Today, you have a forum of all RERA regulators, right?
Yes.
And in some states, the forum is working, the e-courts are working well. Why wouldn't there be a uniform? And this was something that was asked at one of the webinars. Why wouldn't you have a uniform portal, uniform e-court process across the country? Because the concepts are the same, right?
See, the concepts are absolutely the same, but what do you mean by uniform process? The process is the same. What we were doing sitting in our courtrooms, we are now doing online, like courts functioning all over the country.
Right.
You know, what is not uniform about it?
If one state has a functioning system of online e-courts, wouldn't that same solution be implemented quickly across all RERA?
Nobody has any kind of functioning system. This is the first time we've begun this.
Okay.
And when I talk about platforms, the court is the same. But the platform, now see, so far we have found that Zoom is an excellent platform. But because of that initial thing that that Zoom should not use Zoom, the government of India said. But actually, government of India said should not use Zoom. That
Sir, I think we can't hear you.
You can't hear me now. Now can you hear me?
Slipped.
Now can you hear me? Just raise your hand.
Can you hear him?
Because I can hear you clearly.
Yes, ma'am. Sir is audible.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you clearly, Jayashree. But can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Sir,
okay. And Prabhakarji, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying is the platform is a question of, like, for example, Zoom so far was found to be a good platform. But Government of India had said there are security issues.
Yeah.
But then there are security issues when you have a meeting where you are discussing certain confidential things. Yeah. But a court is not a confidential thing. Right. A court is an open thing. Even in court, when we sit, we don't sit in camera. We sit open. Anyone can come into the courtroom and go out and things like that. So therefore, that is not a security matter. But still, then there are other platforms like Cisco, WebEx, but which is quite bad actually. I've sat in on a couple of meetings in that and not been able to hear. Then there's Google Meet, there's MS Team. Now these are and now I don't know what you are using BeLive, which is excellent. The only problem about BeLive is that it asked me before whether, I give them access to all my YouTube and all my emails, and they will, they can delete it when they want. I only hope they don't do it. Otherwise I'll come to Magic Bricks and ask you, what do I do now? But so now these kind of things therefore we have just decided that is only the platform.
Right.
And different people using different things you will arrive at a solution which may be the best. Because otherwise, if you want to go in a centralized way, they'll all say use NIC, which we did today, and it was not very successful, unfortunately. So, like, I'm finding this extremely good, whatever we are doing now, how we can actually use this for court, because there's one thing to be able to use a platform like this, but, in many, the other drawbacks, for example, in Zoom, you book in advance a certain period of time, after 40 minutes, you've got to recheck in. Now that creates problems. So I think it will take a month to stabilize. Sure. Once that stabilizes, there'll be no problem.
Okay. Sir, can we articulate what all has been given to the developer today? What has RERA offered to the developer?
Because of what? Because of COVID.
Because of COVID. So we're only talking COVID.
Because of COVID, nothing but 6 months force majeure.
Okay.
That is all. 6 months force majeure has been offered, meaning the act, actually RERA cannot go beyond the act.
Yeah.
Let us all say that. No government, no RERA, no authority, unless the act is amended by Parliament. Right. We have to act within the act. Now, the act itself permits force majeure.
Right.
It provides for force majeure, like all acts do. And so we have used that section in order to declare force majeure, and we have done it for 6 months. Government of India has advised this may be extended to 9 months, but that's only an advisory. Each RERA will take its own decision. But as things stand, all RERAs have taken 6 months, and to my mind, that seems adequate because, as you know, lockdown has already begun to move off, and we'll have to learn to live with this kind of COVID as we do. But construction activities can start. So this 6-month period, in addition, has been given to all legitimately ongoing projects. And what do I mean by legitimately ongoing projects? I mean projects whose completion date, normal completion date, or extended completion date, the normal, because once they have legitimately extended by a year, then that becomes legitimate. So their completion date falls after the 15th of March. They get this 6 months in addition.
Sure.
On the other hand, all future projects which we are registering in May and June, they will not get 6 months.
Right.
Because they already have seen COVID. It is no longer a surprise.
Yeah.
So today they can all decide how long they'll take, and whatever they do, that is that. Yes, Prabhakar ji.
One thing I want to understand that now, sir, most of the developers are going to face the labor problem because laborers have gone back to their villages. Now the issue is this, that in many cases they are already complaining that they can't start the work because laborers are not there, though the lockdown has been lifted. Now in that situation, suppose again they will come back to you and say that, sir, we can't work because laborers are not there. And this is a difficult situation because COVID is still continuing. Laborers are refusing to come, and so the situation is not to start the work. So what will happen in that situation?
See, a force majeure is something beyond your control. There is a difference between force majeure and a business risk. You see, now, force majeure is when there is a lockdown. The government is saying we are not going to allow you to undertake, and you have to shut down your construction. And we all know that once it's shut down, it takes a certain period to start. This we have assessed. Now, in future, even when there is no lockdown, if someone comes and says to us, I'm finding difficulty in getting laborers.
Kadai comes or Daredco comes.
Yeah. It is the same like someone saying the price of steel has risen or the price of sand has risen. We say those are business risks. You build, it's not that that labor is being prevented by some law of the government or some order of the government from coming. If you find if you find it difficult getting labor, raise the wages, increase the wages, you'll find the labor. And it's not that all these laborers have gone, none of them are going to come back. See, everyone goes to a place for jobs. I know they are extremely distressed. And it's extremely unfortunate what had happened. But I have a feeling that once things settle down, not all of them are going to be able to find jobs in the places where they've gone back. And once there's normal train travel and trains and buses and all begin moving, a large proportion of them will go back to various building sites. You see, and ultimately it's all a plus and a minus. Somebody going out from here is going somewhere else. So there are laborers there. And if you find that there's lack of skills here, then undertake a skill development program. And all this helps in a sense.
Right.
So it's not that maybe some persons may not come, but other people will come. So, that is not the difficulty in finding laborers is not a force majeure. Force majeure is government is saying we will not allow laborers to work. That is force majeure. Your construction project is closed. That is force majeure.
That means at the most the project can be delayed further by only 6 months at present.
Yes, otherwise, or they will get compensation. I mean, they will be entitled to their compensation. You see, we cannot promise that the thing will be finished, but you will be entitled to compensation. Just like without COVID.
Yeah.
Every project that was registered with the RERA prior to COVID would not necessarily finish in time. But if it got delayed, people would get compensation.
Sir, RERA also has a function of development, not only regulation, but development. Now, COVID has shown the cracks in the system, so many cracks in the system. The labor was not registered. Therefore, when you announced compensation, the compensation could not reach the construction laborers. There are many issues of technology, use of technology, things like that, which could have helped start the projects faster. In your role as for the development of the sector, are you also proposing certain things that would help the industry in the future?
Certainly we will. Though as things stand, the law allows us only to suggest to government, and governments are not bound to, government or government agencies are not bound to follow our advice on these issues. Mm-hmm. We have proposed an amendment to the government, not only now, well prior to COVID, long ago, we have kept on proposing this amendment to offhand the number of the section eludes me, but the section in the act which says that RERA can issue directives to promoters, to consumers, and to real estate agents. We have said this should be widened to, we can issue directives to all stakeholders and government agencies in matters relating to real estate. So if that happens, it will become more, our voice will be stronger. But all the same, within the present framework of advising, we will be doing this. We will be advising government, and we will be encouraging agencies such as CREDA and NAREDCO to get there. Because right in that first meeting that we'd had, I had said, this has brought to light that the future will have, the role of technology will have to increase. You see, it is only in India where building works take, if building is completed in 3 to 3.5 years, we say fantastic. We are all thrilled, Whereas abroad, within 1 year building, so are they only building shacks abroad? Are those buildings all falling down abroad? No. If buildings can be built in 1 year, why do we take 3 years? If we are good, and if we are bad, we take 8 years. So obviously there is a role of technology. Then quality. Even technology can be brought in for quality. Costs. Technology has to be brought in to reduce costs. So let us take the opportunity now and learn new ways also. If you are saying that there is a labor problem, then you bring in technology to help you reduce your reliance on unskilled labor. And unskilled labor can then be skilled for skilled jobs where you actually require the artisan to work on.
Sure.
So this is an opportunity to use technology, and we must do it. And apart from technology, as Jayashree pointed out, there are cracks in the system. When everyone spoke about migrant labor, but the difficulty of when we all said, no, wages should be paid and you must pay and this and that. But the issue was who had lists, who knew who are the migrant labor. Are they coming? When persons come, are they coming every day to work? They were on no one's rolls. And then there are many outsourcing and layers of outsourcing. You outsource to someone, he outsources to someone else, he outsources to someone else, each one of them taking a cut on the wages of that poor fellow. So this also, there needs to be labor reforms, and we will apply our minds making certain suggestions to government. Ultimately, the decision is for the state governments to take because labor comes under the state government. But we will be looking at even these aspects where it's not just, we know in this industry, there is the consumer who wants his house and there is the promoter who's building. But as you yourself pointed out very finely, that there are many other stakeholders whose interests also need to be looked after, principal among them workers.
Yes.
So how can this be done also? This is certainly something we need to apply our mind on now.
For years, we have been collecting the 2% labor cess, but not really ever applied our minds to who will get that, the benefit.
And how it will be used, So very often, sometimes these monies are used simply to organize jamborees.
Yes.
And say we are calling laborers to tell them about their rights and this and that, when actually a proper solid program may be much better. So we'll have to apply our minds to all these things and come up with better solutions for these. We need to learn from all this.
So one of the things that came up repeatedly across the last 2 years since RERA has been around is that while certain processes have got streamlined, the approvals process is still a huge problem. If a developer meets all the requirements, if the architect has actually followed the rules, should the architect be allowed? Should the developer be allowed to start construction? And in case of any violations, pay the penalty. So today they are waiting between 18 to 24 months to start construction for approvals.
Now, I assume you mean the approvals prior to the RERA approval, not the RERA approval. Yeah.
No.
See, now, Jayashree, there is a difference. There is a difference between a project and an individual's house.
Right.
And the same, what you are talking about approvals is the same problem relating to completion certificates also.
Right.
So in a place like Madhya Pradesh also, they've said, all these approvals take so long and this and that. So we should have it, you have a registered architect who approves this. I agree entirely. So if it is an individual, I agree with you fully.
Okay.
Because you have a house over there, you have a plot over there, you want to build on that, there's no problem. You want to pull down your old house, this, that, you get a chartered architect to decide it. But a project is a little different. A project is, by project, I mean huge project with lots of apartments, this, that. Now, there is a lot of infrastructural linkages that are important here. Water. The developer is not producing his own water out of the air. He will depend on the municipal pipeline. Electricity. Each project doesn't have their own generators and, they have fallback generators, another matter, but they don't bring their own electricity. Sewage disposal. They may have an STP, but that sewage has got to go somewhere. It's got to link up with the city sewage disposal. So principally for these three things, a municipal permission is absolutely necessary. If it takes long, we have to see how we can make it quicker. But to dispense with it will not help.
No, sir, but once the master plan has been approved of that area, so that means all these facilities should have come there.
No, Prabhakarji, there is where you are wrong. A master plan is a plan. A master plan is literally, frankly, it is a drawing on paper. And the master plan is not prepared by municipal authorities. The master plan is prepared by the town and country planning department. They are the experts. They decide, yes, this is the kind of plan that is required. These are the kind of roads that the city should expand like this. These are the land uses. The width of these roads should be so much when they are laid. These are the land uses. Here's the commercial area. This should be used for industrial, whatever. This is the master plan. But infrastructure doesn't come up overnight. The road, what is proposed to be the road is there. Some authority, either the municipality or some development authority or some SIDCO or HUDCO or whoever else, they have got to build those roads. And there is not so many, lakhs and lakhs of crores at their disposal that they are just going to build roads like that. They build the roads as the city expands. Master plans are prepared for 20 years. So when the city is expanding, then a group of colonizers come in, they say, we want to put here, then a certain surcharge is put on them, and so much of the road is built to include that, or an additional electricity generation thing, or some sewage disposal, whatever. It doesn't happen that the entire infrastructure gets created only because the town and country planning department draws it and publishes a book about it.
You are right, sir. But many area where not only the master plan is developed, the project has been allowed, project has been developed, still infrastructure has not come in that area, and because of that, completion certificate is not getting issued.
No, so you are saying the opposite now. What you are now saying is another matter. First, you were saying the question I was answering. No. All the more reason what I am saying, because what you were saying, why do you want to take approvals? Master plan is there, go ahead and build.
Exactly. That should have been the ideal case.
But that cannot be. No, it doesn't happen anywhere, nowhere in the world. Nobody creates a huge, you are preparing a master plan for 20 years. Are you going to create an infrastructure first for 20 years? You first create the infrastructure, then you allow building. That's not, that happens nowhere in the world. But what happens properly in the best countries of the world and the best supply is that, yes, you have a master plan, you prepare a plan according to your project. Yes, you say, this is the approved land use, this is what I want to do. You go to the authorities, and the authorities build the infrastructure simultaneously with seeing the densities over there, whether they are being created. Even when you draw 20-year master plan for a city, and you say the city can expand here, there, it doesn't mean automatically that the city will expand evenly in all directions. The planner has seen that, but there are so many other reasons. Suddenly one airport may come up somewhere, some other reasons, whatever. It may expand in one direction, but the others may remain unexplored. So the municipality or the development authorities then build accordingly. The problem in our country is that it doesn't happen as quickly as it ought to.
Yes.
But to expect that, no, if a master plan is there, we will not take permission, there'll be further chaos.
Okay. I'm going to just take a little break and
Absolutely. Lata Kumari is coming.
She's the Secretary of Karnataka RERA. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. Right now, Mr. Disa has been talking to us about how RERAs are working. There is no change in how RERAs are working for the consumer. It's just that this 6 months of force majeure is what has been given to the developers, so that when they could not work, 2 months they haven't worked, and another 4 months when they can start. Would you like to set the Karnataka perspective, please?
First of all, Jayashree, I would like to congratulate you, and I really appreciate you for your, such a good effort. It's a really keep it up.
Thank you.
And just I'm sorry, I'm joining now. I had a meeting, the chairman's chamber. Okay, really, I feel it's it's an opportunity to share our views on the same platform. And as you are rightly told, and the reprieve what we have given, through our RERA, even Karnataka RERA has also extended a timeline for a completion of the projects. End date of the projects is extended by the 6 months. It's a really good move, and it's a quite it's a distrusting the whole real estate sector, at least for a time being. And as you all know, this phase is also very tough one, but it will also not last for a long time. It will also pass through. What the entire government is really standing for the sector's overall growth, I personally feel, Jayashree.
Yeah, 7% of the GDP is not to be sneezed at. It's a lot of contribution to the GDP. But the reason why we picked up this conversation was because a lot of consumers started saying RERA was to protect us, and today it seems to be protecting the industry. So we really wanted to put it on the table that actually the RERA has not abandoned the consumer, right? And that's where we started with this. So would you like to tell us what is your message to the consumer today?
Exactly, Jayashree. It is a general opinion by the consumer or a public is that, by extending the completion date or end date of the project, it's a merely supporting the developer. But it's my personal opinion is it is not like that. It is overall we are supporting both consumer as well as the developer, because the stagnation will not be there in the sector if because of this move. What I personally feel, it will ease out the lot of issues. These and also one more point I would like to tell here is, the developers and the home buyers. These are these two faces of a coin. We cannot separate them. You see, they are not different entities. It is a whole sector, and they are the important stakeholders, and the overall growth of this sector depends on these two persons. That's why this move is not just was as other people there thinking. It is not really only for developers benefit. It is even for the buyers also.
Absolutely. If the project can be completed, it actually services the consumer. And that's the message that we wanted to bring to them.
And Jayashree, could I add one little piece of information? Because this was a question that, to add to what my colleague Lata Kumari has said, and a question that was raised, I think, by Prabhakar or you just before we began this. If builders are being given 6 months, what about the consumer? Can we also delay our payments?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, actually, the question is a false question. And why is it a false question? Mm-hmm. Because the consumer's payments to the builder, EMIs to the bank, I'll talk separately about. Mm-hmm. The consumer's payment to the builder is not time linked. Yeah. It is construction linked. So if your builder has reached the 6th floor, and you have to pay a certain amount at 6th floor, you have to pay him. Yeah. And if he has not reached that 6th floor because of 6 months delay because of COVID, then you don't have to pay him for those 6 months. So your money to the builder is protected, and even the money that the bank is paying the builder of a loan that you may have taken from the bank, you have taken a loan. Now the loan also is going to be disbursed in proportion to construction on the ground. Any good bank, if you have some useless financial institutions just going to pass off money, that's a different matter. But the normal procedure is whenever, even if a loan is to be disbursed, the bank either sends one of their own inspectors or they take an okay from the loanee that yes, I have seen the place and this is due. and then the money is passed on. So that is automatically inbuilt. Now, if you talk about EMIs to the bank, your EMIs to the bank are in any case adjustable against the quantum of loan disbursed.
Yeah.
So if less of the loan is disbursed and only a part of the loan is being taken, you will have to keep your EMIs will get adjusted against that. And EMIs have never been just 1 minute, Prabhakar, let me finish. A loan, the period of a loan is never coterminous with the delivery of the property. Typically, loans are taken, housing loans are taken for 15 years.
Yeah.
Properties are meant to be delivered in 3 and 4 and maximum 5 years or whatever. So in any case, even if the builder gives you your property on time, you would be paying EMIs for your whole period of your loan. So therefore, the two, yes, what do you lose? You do lose the notional rent that you would have got for the 6-month period, right? That by delaying the project, you would lose that. Now that is a force majeure. That is because it's force majeure, that is a loss that you will bear.
No, agreeable, yes. Sir. Agreed, sir. But the issue is this, that this COVID has also affected the many buyers. Many buyers might have lost the job. Now, issue is this, that suppose if a buyer tomorrow slips 2 or 3 payments to the developer, or he doesn't pay.
In spite of the developer building.
Yeah,
you mean the developer is keeping his building going.
Exactly.
And yet the man is not paying.
Not able to pay, suppose 2-3 installments because he has lost.
Prabhakarji, no, but I need to understand. The construction is going on ground.
Yes, that's
Exactly.
the thing.
Then I am afraid no. It is like saying, then it is like saying, there is a problem. Now, therefore, the government will order that in all the malls, you can go and you can pick up clothes, you can pick up food, and you will pay later for it.
No, sir.
Because you do not have money in your pocket. The point, I will need to complete this. Because your consumers need to understand. I understand that they should not feel deprived. And therefore, it is important that a consumer should understand that if the building is going on there, he needs to pay the builder. Otherwise, it's not an injustice to the builder alone. Forget the builder. It's an injustice to the other consumers in that building. There are 100 people who have bought. And if 20 people decide, I have had difficulty, my shares have gone down, that I cannot pay, the building will get delayed further. And it will be an injustice to those 80 people who are also consumers and who are paying. So I say that if the building is going on and the builder, in spite of COVID or because or after COVID or whatever, has found the resources somehow and has kept it, then such a builder deserves to be supported.
Exactly,
and
sir.
That is in the interest of all the consumers.
No, but my saying is, sir, that if he's mixed the payment 2-3 times, can you stop builder to cancel his project, his flat on his name? Can you say that no, you should wait for another, say 6 months? He is ready to pay. He's going to pay.
Let me tell you, Prabhakarji, let me tell you in my 3 years experience, no builder is eager to cancel anybody's booking. This is a buyer's market where we are today. It is not a seller's market. The demand is so abysmally low. The demand is so abysmally low that builders are not only in fact, when builders come to me into RERA, and builders say to us in RERA, sir, they have not paid. Please tell them to pay. Not now, before COVID. And we used to say, if you are building and they're not paying, please cancel. No, sir. Cancellation we don't, because there's nobody else to come and book. So, cancellation will not happen. Cancellation will not happen. Nobody is interested in jumping in. Every builder is waiting for people to buy. No project is 100% sold out. It is not a seller's market. It is a buyer's market.
I'm going to put another thought here, Prabhakar. When I had some bankers on a show, and the bankers said that if the consumer comes to us and says that, look, I'm facing these problems, can you give me a long tail to my loan? can you ease it out for me at this point of time so that I have a step-up payment plan? Bankers are willing and able to do this. I think Mr. Disa's message is very strong. If the builder, and the builder is not flush with cash either, if the builder finds the money to start building and the next 2 installments are due and the consumer says, look, I lost my job, I can't pay, instead of going to the builder and saying I can't pay, it's much better to go to the lender and say, look, I have a temporary problem here. Many people have not lost their jobs. It's furloughs. Many have, during a furlough, you don't get your money. But the issue is that it is the lender that you have to go to, not the developer, because if the money flow does not come, the project will be.
Absolutely. Perfect.
No, Jayashree, what I mean to say is that whether regulator has an answer for this or not, I understand that what bank will do. And I know that many developers have cancelled the project. I mean, just for 3 payments, there is a journalist, senior journalist, whose flat has been cancelled by one developer, and that developer was defaulter. Still, he cancelled the project, and that lady had paid 70 lakh rupees.
Prabhakarji, I can tell you the reasons may be very different in that, and the person can go to RERA. You're not talking about COVID, no? You're talking about pre-COVID.
You're talking of COVID.
Yeah.
The COVID problem.
And if the person feels, and if any consumer feels he has been unfairly, he or she has been unfairly treated, they will go to they can go to the RERA, and any RERA would say you cannot cancel it. You may impose interest as which is up to the maximum of the RERA declared rate, which is now in Madhya Pradesh 9%. Earlier on it was 10%. You know, not a usurious rate of interest, but you can take interest, but you cannot cancel. You can take interest.
That's what I want to understand.
Yeah, so but it's got nothing to do with COVID. That kind of thing could have happened in any case. There are sometimes there are allottees, as I say, even though it's a buyer's market, a builder may have a quarrel with somebody. And because of the quarrel, izzat ki baat ho gayi, so I'm going to cancel it. You have missed out. That person can go to the RERA and say, what is this? One missing of this, he can charge me interest, but he can't. And the RERA would then look into the details and say, has this been a habitual defaulter? Has this person constantly been defaulting? Or is this just been a chance default? And a large, like you are saying, 70 lakh ka paisa de diya gaya. So even then, the maximum the builder should have done is charge an interest. But that you can go to RERA, and RERA will give you justice. Look into the case.
Sir, I'm going to pick up the issue that you raised a little while ago, which was that, you can't have automatic routes for large projects because there is a lot of infrastructure inputs that have to come in. Now here, the last time I spoke with Ms. Lata Kumari, she did mention how the RERA is working closely with the municipal authorities to somewhat bring all systems in tandem, so that if there is a problem with the with the infrastructure, it gets resolved, or if there are any delays in approval, it gets resolved. Ma'am, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, Jayashree, as we have discussed in the last meeting, we have a series of deliberations, meetings with our higher ups, especially Urban Development Department. And you see, this is a RERA is, we have to interlink the all related departments, mainly the Housing, Urban Development Department, especially in Karnataka. And, the response was also very good, and we are planning to issue circulars and guidelines on this one. Especially the issue with regard to the one is with alteration of a project, modification of a project, what I told you last time. That means in between, when the promoter, they are going for a modification of their sanctioned plans, original sanctioned plan, and without the prior approval of bringing it to the notice of the RERA, they have been doing this one. But here we are receiving complaints on such projects before the authority. Then when we look into that one, our RERA Act clearly tells in under section 14. So they have to get in section 14 to B, and they're mentioning, the 2/3 of the consent of the allottees is must actually. So we are insisting for that one, before going for any modifications before the authorities, sanctioning planning authorities, they have to get NOC kind of thing from a RERA. Like that we are also planning. And also, as you are told, while sanctioning the plans by the town planning authorities and different authorities, they have to make sure that that project is putting a condition. That means after obtaining a sanction plan, they will compulsorily, without fail, they will register with the RERA. And it's a good news that you might have heard, 40-30-30 share. The Urban Development Department has issued an ordinance just recently, and they have made it mandatory to register with the RERA before getting their releases, initial releases, plot releases. That is also good development in our state, Jayashree.
That's actually, despite the fact that all infrastructure, when a project is sanctioned, all infrastructure has to be in place. The ground reality is that a lot of houses have been delivered with no infrastructure. The roads are not there, the water lines are not there, power is through generators. Here, does the consumer come to RERA?
Absolutely. He has the right to come to RERA, because you are not getting only a house that is flying in the air. A house means it should be a working house. No, you should have a certain water, legal electricity connection. You have to have a road that may approach it. There are certain basic things that don't require to be written in agreement. Like an approach road, water, electricity, sewage and sewage disposal. These don't have to be written. There are other things where only if they are written you can ask. For example, a clubhouse or a gymnasium or a jogging track. This is not compulsory infrastructure, but it is promised infrastructure. I am willing to pay more for my house because you're going to give me this. So that has to be written in the agreement. But basic infrastructure doesn't have to be written. If it is not given, they can come to RERA and RERA will get it checked. And not only get it checked, what we do here is what we try to do. As I say, the act has to be amended so when we will be able to give a direction. But we also ask at least the municipal authority, how did this project get the completion certificate? How did they get the occupation certificate? We have seen a thing where a permission has been, where a completion has been granted a multi-story building without the lift being put inside. You can't just go to an apartment and look at the inside of the apartment, everything is ready. How does he reach the 8th floor? So, but of course, if the act is amended, we will have the power to direct and ask the presence of that municipal commissioner of how this completion will give at the moment. But within our powers, we try to do what we can do. So infrastructure. But now, since you have raised the issue of infrastructure, it is very important to draw the fine line between provisioning of the infrastructure and maintenance of a colony. Sometimes people come to RERA with maintenance issues. Yes, sir, चौकीदार नहीं है वहां properly. ऐसा नहीं है, वो नहीं है, सड़क का repair नहीं हो रहा है. Now, these are maintenance issues. They are not something that RERA can concern itself with. In such issues, what we do is we insist that the builder within a specific period of time hands over the project as per RERA Act to an association of the owners. We say you give it over there, and with, of course, the accounts and all the money that was collected for the corpus and all that, all that he has to hand over. But we don't get into maintenance issues. We restrict in section 14. Lata Kumari ji has referred to section 14, which relates to these things, and we restrict ourselves to 5 years period, and there also to a structural defect or to the fact that that amenity which was supposed to be provided, the basic amenity, has not been provided. And of course, if it was a promised amenity, even if it's more than basic, if a clubhouse was written there, then the clubhouse, you have to give the clubhouse, or you have to give the man compensation because you have said clubhouse.
Yeah. So I knew these questions would come. There are 2 questions that have come related to execution of orders, and this is something that consumers would have raised. There's Srinivasan Shankar and Lailesh Menezes, one to you, sir, one to you, ma'am, asking what about the execution of orders? Would you like to actually this is a distress period. For a lot of people, this is a distress period, and you have given some orders which haven't been executed yet, and there are also even today after the force majeure, if the project gets delayed beyond whatever your extended timeline is, if they come to RERA, What is the promise of execution of orders? So I'm sure you're addressing.
You want me to answer? You want Lata Kumari to answer?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You are the boss,
Okay.
actually.
I'll try and tell you. See, from day one, I've been asking for an amendment to the Act.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, consumer organizations themselves at the national level are always saying the Act should not be amended, which is unfortunate. We are pointing out drawbacks in it. The drawback is that RERA and its adjudicating officer do not have the adequate powers for implementing their Act, for implementing their orders. The orders provide for huge penalties, even imprisonment. But unfortunately, RERA and its adjudicating officer did not have these powers. We could impose the fine, we could impose the penalty, but how do you recover it? So we have been asking for the Act to be amended to appoint an execution officer also. And the execution officer would also be a retired district judge like the adjudicating officer. Now, pending that, what we did in Madhya Pradesh is we amended our rules. And we created a post of executing officer, and we appointed him in January. Unfortunately, it was just 1.5 months before the COVID started. So everything came. So we have appointed an execution officer who's a retired district judge. But I must also be honest that he does not have the full powers of a civil court as yet. If what I am asking for and what I really think is required is an amendment to the Act, giving this executing, and he's a retired district judge, so there should be no problem. He's a judge. Give him all the powers of the civil court so that all the punishments, including imprisonment, which is given in the RERA Act, that power should be given to him. You will see all the orders getting implemented quickly, like clockwork. At the moment we give the orders, now what happens is if the orders are against a builder who has another project ongoing, then we have some kind of leeway. But if the order is against a fellow who is in any case an absconder or a complete defaulter, he's not interested in reputation, not interested in other project, he has thugged a lot of people and just gone, then in actually to seize his property, to auction his property, and if he has no property, to send him to jail. And that is all provided for in the Act. But the powers are with the civil court. That power should be given to the executing officer.
So you've been saying this for about a year and a half now. I've been discussing this with
Actually,
you.
3 years, but all the same.
How close are we to getting
That
this?
is the question you will have to ask Secretary of the Ministry, Government of India. I mean, I really don't. I cannot answer for Government of India or the state government or anyone. But the Act requires women. I know Government of India has been saying they are conscious of these problems.
Yes.
They are conscious of the problem. And there are other issues also relating to that require changes. It's not just this. But, ultimately it is stakeholders who are consumers who will have to also come up and say that we want these amendments. We want these amendments. But every time we talk of amending the Act, if people say, no, the Act is like, some Bible or some Bhagavad Gita, which cannot be amended. And no, don't touch it. And how much we have fought for this Act, but you cannot amend it. Then what's going to happen? I say the Constitution of India can be amended 100 times. Why not an Act? As though the Constitution of India was not something that our forefathers fought for. They fought for it. But they provide for amendment as and when required. So it's an excellent Act, but it requires, now experience has shown us that there are certain lacuna, and these lacuna have to be plugged, for which we require amendments.
Right. And in fact, when the Act actually came into being, the people who crafted the Act said, we have taken whatever we could think into consideration, but it has to evolve. It's a new Act.
True.
Right? And a very, very critical Act. Ma'am, does Karnataka RERA have online tools?
Yeah, Jayashree, actually, I have a question to Anthony, sir, actually.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, no, sir, actually, we have taken... No, sir, you were what you have brought amendment to the rules regarding a recovery of these compensations. Just we have taken that one, I went through it, and we have we redrafted it in accordance with our rules and provisions. and we have submitted it to the government. But ultimately, what they are asking, sir, actually, is there any, what is the outcome? Is there any positive
No, no.
you know,
There
sir,
has been a
result from
Madhya Pradesh. No, there is
Yes,
a positive
yes.
outcome. There is a positive outcome. Whatever recoveries that were taking place, that has increased. But it's not the final solution. The final solution would be an amendment to the Act and giving the powers of the Civil Court. But there has been a positive outcome, I must say, and that if you all write to us, we can write to you officially. So it will help you tell the
Thank you,
government
sir.
that it is positive and please,
Yes.
follow it.
Yes, yes, and especially with regard to the recovery of compensation or penalty, whatever the orders
Yeah.
by the authorities. So it is. We are also facing the same problem. Probably, I feel so. Whole entire country is having the same. With regarding to the since it is an arrears of land revenue, sir. And also, sir, to add to this one, I have my personal opinion, sir. Since Land Revenue Act is also a very powerful act, sir. Actually, sometimes I feel we are unable to execute it in a very proper way. Since deputy commissioners or collectors, so they have empowered with recovery of the arrears in the same way, sir. Land revenue is a paramount recovery, sir. They can even if they execute it effectively, that is also kind of recovery. But I don't know why they are giving reasons, so many reasons. But I'm personally feeling, sir, they can even make it more.
They can, but you see, we all know that I mean, I've been a collector myself 30 years ago, and I know that you are drudged down with huge quantities of work, large number of recovery cases. Not RERA is only one of them. There are RERA cases, there are bank cases under SARFAESI Act, there are government actually land revenue cases, there are other loans. So, and Tehsildar has so much other work. What is that Tehsildar only going to do recovery? And recovery is a thankless job. We know that. So it will always take a second seat, a second or third seat. The solution is not to burden that poor Tehsildar more because he has enough work. The solution is let the RERAs appoint an executing officer and give him the powers of the civil court, give him the powers of the Tehsildar also.
So then, how about like this? Having our own recovery cell kind of thing, sir. Having all revenue power. No, sir. Instead of civil, in a deputy commissioner office, only RERA recovery cell kind of things. Actually, even exclusive.
I agree with you. In fact, Madhya Pradesh has also created a post of a Tehsildar and a post of a revenue inspector. But for him to be effective, he's not someone that we can recruit and post. He has to be a real Tehsildar whom the government gives us on deputation. Then he'll have that power. So we've created the post, we've asked the government, but the government already has a shortage of Tehsildars. So that's...
No, sir. What I'm receiving from a home buyers actually till then, sir, till we bring some amendment to the act or doing something, some intermediary relief they are requesting.
I agree with you. Actually, Lata Kumari ji, if your government is willing to spare the services of a Tehsildar and a revenue inspector, please pay them their salary. Tell the government will give them the salary. Let one Tehsildar and RI sit in my office or whatever you all call them, Talati or over there. In Karnataka, we call Tehsildar and Revenue Inspector. Let them sit in your office and let them do the job. Because people get frightened of Tehsildar.
So in office we have, sir, what I am telling, sir, in a district level, sir, in a district, in there only they're having RERA recovery cell kind of things, actually.
But every district, I don't know, we have got 52 districts in Madhya Pradesh. That would be difficult. We said we'll send him the man over there to recover and let him bring, because there's not... Most of our recoveries relate to Bhopal, Indore, Jabalpur. Other places are very small. 80% of our work is in Indore and Jabalpur. Okay. So anyway, whatever. But I do agree with you. If the government is willing to spare a Tehsildar and all, that will be wonderful. We have created the post, but we have to get people.
Thank you.
So what about other regulators? Whether do they have this power, like TRAI or?
See, none of the other regulators are dealing with the general public. All of these people are dealing with other companies. TRAI is only dealing with, Jio and Airtel and Bharti and electricity regulators dealing with other discoms.
So like IRDA do, work for the public also.
Not at the scale at which.
Whether they have power or not. This I'm asking, sir.
Because they don't require that. They get all the powers under the Companies Act. You don't have to have a tehsildar knocking at the door of Bharti Airtel. Under the Companies Act, you can take action against them.
No, insurance companies, sir.
In IRDA, sir?
I don't know what. Frankly, I will not be able to answer for them, because I think the IRDA actually, no, there again, IRDA regulates the insurance companies. They don't regulate the claims of individual claimants. I don't know. I'm not certain.
They retain the application, sir. They retain the.
I would not like to answer, because I don't know.
But I would like to take this conversation back to the COVID situation, and I would like to assure those people who have been asking these questions why implementation is not happening. I think the important takeaway from what I've heard from Mr. Disa and Ms. Lata Kumari is that the effort to speed up the execution is happening at every RERA. Whether you're trying to get the act amended by making representations to the government, or create, like you said, a retired magistrate as one of your officers, your execution officers, or like you said, ma'am, having them at the tehsildar's office, at the collector's office, so that your recovery cells become more effective. The point here, the issue is not whether the system is perfect. The system is not perfect, and we've understood that. But I think what I raised today was, are RERAs really compassionate to the consumers, even though it seems that there is a lot of leeway that has been given to the developers? And that's where I think both Mr. Disa and Ms. Lata Kumari have said that the problems of the consumers are being addressed with equal effort. Now, ma'am, there is a question that has come. Does Karnataka RERA have online courts? Mr. Disa was just telling us about how the online court system has just begun in Madhya Pradesh. Does Karnataka also intend to, or does it already have online courts?
Yeah, Jayanshi, due to COVID-19, the hearings virtual hearing has already been taken place, and actually we are planning to even go for an e-court sort of thing, but now we are conducting hearings proceedings through virtual only, through Skype and through other apps. We are conducting proceedings, Jayesh.
And have a lot of consumers been active, or more or less this is a period when consumers have stepped back and said,
actually, even before COVID-19 also, we were thinking of, having our e-court kind of and virtual hearing kind of system, video conference. And, since, all these buyers, consumers, they will stay in some other part of city, some other states, and even different places, they prefer it, and they always, they like it actually. They want it, Jayesh. It's my personal idea.
The last two questions, I would like to say that the consumer demand has changed. Magic Bricks did a survey on consumers, and we found that about 30% of people said that they are willing to push back their buying decision. Out of the remaining 70%, about 70% of those said that they will drop their prices, the amount that their allocations by 10 to 15%. Which means the consumers are looking for cheaper homes. They want a different configuration, because you're going to be working from home for a while. So you do need extra study space, a little stretch within the space. And with this, will developers have to reconfigure their properties, and how will RERAs respond to that?
See, there's nothing that RERA, whatever project promoter decides that he wants this kind of design, and he's willing to market that, and he gets permission from the town country planning and from the municipal authorities, RERA will accept it. RERA has no problem with that. But the difficulty is that, yes, people will want larger houses, they'll want one extra room and all that, but then you have to pay for that also. It's like if you're asking for a 2-bedroom house now, you want a 3-bedroom house.
Or a 2.5 maybe.
Or a 2.5 bedroom.
Yeah.
So you'll have to, ultimately you cannot link that with saying that I want a cheaper house and a larger one. All of us want it, but it's not always possible, unless that initial story that I was telling you, unless we have a heavy dose of technology. Yeah. You see, our construction industry has not picked up on technology, and mainly because labor is cheap here relatively when you compare to other countries. You got large number of people, so we just continue with it.
Yeah.
But we have to bring in technology because technology will improve quality, it will reduce costs, and it will reduce time.
That's right. But you also, if there is an existing project on which they got their sanctions, and let's assume the last 2 towers are yet to be built, and the developer now says that let me change it according to, he needs the sanction of 2/3 of the buyers.
Yes, naturally, he'll require approval of 2/3 of the buyers. And then the 2/3 of the buyers will, I mean, so far, whoever have bookings, if he has only 9 bookings, he'll require only 6 approvals because the rest will be booked on the new design.
Right.
You see, the idea is after a person has booked, and maybe these 9 people can agree and say, okay, these 6 people agree that you do the design, but you don't raise the cost. And the builder may decide, ki, theek hai, for these 9 people, I will not raise the cost, but I have got 50 units. For the remaining 41, I will increase the cost, but I've got my permission. So that's fine. It's a bargain that you deal with people.
And
or all may want to have a larger, and they may agree with the builder. Okay, we'll pay you 5% more, give us so much additional space. And provided it is there in the FAR, this, that, and all, builder may give it. RERA will not come into the picture. RERA will look, have you got the approvals? We will approve. We have no problem.
And the last question of the day, ma'am, there is a question that has come. If a developer says that now with RERA, already I have, I have to put extra precautions in place, less workers on the site and so on, I would need to raise the price of my project. Will RERA allow it? Because there's a builder-buyer agreement on which a certain amount was agreed. Can the developer, the retailers have said that I'm going to put a COVID tax. There are many who ask you to pay an extra 25% or 200 rupees and so on.
Yeah.
Will developers be able to pass on the RERA expenses or the safety expenses to the consumer?
Not at all.
In other way, I will tell like this, Jayeshi. If the buyer asks the same question, saying that because of COVID and all these things, I lost my job, or I am going through, troubling days, then I won't pay or reduce my, EMI or reduce my cost of property. Will the developer accept that one?
No,
In
it's
other
not.
way
And
around also.
it will be illegal. It will be illegal.
Again, the
because
same thing. If he is ready for that one, let him ask like
the
that.
only thing the Act allows is if it's a force majeure situation, depending on the kind of situation, you can give extra time. And that's what we've done. Cost cannot be modified. It can be reduced, of course, if somebody wants to. It cannot be increased. Act does not provide for it.
Oh,
Even in the force majeure situation.
No, force majeure also, no. Cost force majeure is time.
No. Again, Jayeshi, this is a time where we need to build up a trust between a buyer and a developer. It is a very critical period, as you rightly told, and since the industry, it better, and it is we are here to build a kind of confidence between them. This is a initiative.
And actually, Jayashree, if you look at it, what has changed? Only the time, only the delay has taken place. No, but where have costs increased? Are we saying because of COVID you have to make your walls 2 inches thicker? Are we saying because of COVID? I mean, we're not saying all those things. No, so actually the cost is not increased.
they are talking about sanitation. They're talking about fewer labor on the
But Jayashree, sanitation and all you should have been doing in any case. Before COVID, were you going to give an unsanitary building? You should have done it in any case. So there's no additional cost in that sense. Yes, the additional cost is so much, the cost of delay, because there is a certain cost of interest. Even he has taken loans from somewhere and all that. So that additional, that amount has to be absorbed by everybody. As I said, even the consumer is absorbing it, because the consumer, by getting it 6 months delayed, he is losing 6 months of notional rent, which he's losing. So he is bearing that. The builder will bear that additional interest or whatever. For that also, RBI and Government of India has come out with some schemes of rescheduling and all. Let them take advantage of that, whatever he has to take advantage. But increasing the cost of an agreed cost of the building, that's unacceptable.
But he can drop it. He wants to, he can drop it to get.
You can drop it and
It's
pay
a
the
marketing
compensation, pay back,
strategy that
pay it
is.
back with interest, as fixed under Section 18 of the Act. Section. They allows him to drop it. You pay back the full thing with interest and with whatever compensation may be decided by the AO.
Okay. And that's where I'm going to close this session. I think it has been an extremely productive session.
Now, Jayashree, before closing, only 1 minute I will take.
Yeah.
Here, Balaji Shinku is asking in a public, and he has raised a question over here in my text box.
Yeah.
Okay. In Kerala, he's asking complaints. He has lodged a complaints and he's waiting for a relief. Okay. So just I want to convey him that, Balaji, I went through your messages and really we are trying to addressing those things, and you are going to get orders soon. Okay.
And on that happy note that there is an order coming your way, Balaji, I think Lailesh Menezes and Prashant Sharma, many people who said that you're not taking action against.
Prashant Sharma, I think may have come into this discussion a little late.
Yes.
Because I can see over there, he's asking MP RERA why action under 63, 64, 65, 66 of penalty and jail term. I've answered all this lots already. Maybe he's coming to the.
I think what you should do is listen to this conversation. And this conversation actually, it was not either in favor of the consumer or the developer. Ultimately, they're regulators. And as regulators and have to develop the industry. What has come through is that there are some flaws in the act which need to be fixed. However, the act is protecting the consumer as much as the developer. If the developer has run into this situation where he cannot build, the authorities, the RERA authorities, have given that 6 months, 3 months, then 6 months. Now, with an additional provision of 3 more months is what the finance ministry says.
But that is only an advisory, yeah?
That's
every RERA should take its own decision on that.
Right. And however, the important thing is that there has to be more technology, there has to be speed, there has to be perfection of construction, and that's where the RERAs are protecting your interests. More than anything else, this is the time when the industry, like Ms. Lata Kumari said, the industry and the consumer need to build that trust, and I think somewhere the RERAs are trying to do that right now. Prashant Sharma says his question is unanswered.
Ask him whether he came in right at the beginning. Prashantji, did you come in right at the beginning?
Prashantji, we did address this issue of how to, why there are certain issues and how this is, they are trying to solve it. And
will this be available on YouTube, Jayashree?
Yes, it will be available on Facebook as well as YouTube. On YouTube, it will be on MBTV, that is the Magic Bricks Television. It's a channel on YouTube.
Okay. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is a conversation that we've only just begun. This conversation will remain alive, and please feel free to keep adding to the comments, and we'll keep taking it back to the RERA authorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayashree, for good initiative.
You so
thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhakar.
Thank you.